Ladies and gentlemen, it is our great pleasure to welcome our special guest today who's joining us, Congresswoman Julie FEDORCHAK. Hello. You're welcome. I'm Bridget. Nice to see you.
Well, awesome. Thank you, everyone. Great to be here. Appreciate the invitation. Thank you, Bridget. Want to say a special shout out to Amber and the folks in the leadership roles here in this organization for all the hard work that the group is doing together to advocate for your issues. There's strength in numbers, and you're certainly showing that by being here today and talking about and learning more about these issues and talking about some of your big challenges. So I'm super excited about the future of animal agriculture in North Dakota. I just want to start with that. Our agriculture resources, agriculture is our number one industry. It always will be, because our land and the people who work it are our top most valued resource. And so animal agriculture is just an integral part of the whole system. And I've been in my last few months on this job, it's now been 12 months, I guess. I have had the great fortune of touring some of the new and exciting industries and investments that are taking place here. I see Lance Gaby, who's out in the audience, and Lance and I go way back to days with Governor Ed Schaefer. I worked on his team, as did Lance. Lance was in charge of the agriculture portfolio, and there wasn't a lot going on in animal agriculture back then. Some of the laws were disadvantaging investments in this area. So it's great to see, it took many decades, but some of those barriers have been taken down, and we're starting to see that investment. But of course, change is hard, and there's opponents out there. I toured the Riverview Dairy about a year ago and was so impressed with the new technology and all of the synergies that can occur with a dairy like that in terms of having a product that comes out of the dairy, the fertilizer. One of the things I hear most from farmers and the ag industry is that input costs are so high. So this is one type of input we can create right here in North Dakota. So not only does the dairy provide diversification in terms of raising the animals, producing milk, another product, but the byproducts can also benefit producers just in the local area. So there's so many great synergies. I think it's exciting to see. I was disappointed to learn of the lawsuit that's kind of been tangled that project up in, but I've met with those folks leading that a couple of different times, and I think they've got strong leadership, and hopefully in the end that permit will be issued and that project can move forward. And then any new innovative groundbreaking projects like that really pave the way for the next one. The one in Wahpeton, I think, is a little bit behind that one, a little small, quite a bit smaller too, but again, or near Wahpeton. That one, also great promise. Last summer, some of my team and I toured the dairy near Carrington. What was the name of that? Van Bedaff Family Dairy and the Cows and Crow Creamery. Of course, we did have to sample quite a few different tastes, flavors of gelato, and the cheese, which was also delicious. But what an incredible operation that was. Seeing, we didn't smell it. That's the biggest thing I noticed about, and what I believe you guys are, on the right path of trying to dispel the misconceptions that people have about modern animal agriculture with the new technologies and the new practices for managing the animals. You don't really have any smell. I didn't smell that operation. Right when we were in it, walking through it, like they were cleaning out the manure so routinely and disposing of it and managing it in a way that really just was not a problem for the area. And so I think that the more you can focus on getting the truth out, speaking to the opportunities, and talking about the synergies between all of our great ag resources. Another wonderful one is most definitely ethanol. I'm happy to answer questions about that whole year-round E15 if you have them in a minute. But in terms of ethanol or biodiesel from soybeans, the crush product, I was out at the Jamestown facility, and they're desperate for a place to take their soybean meal. And wouldn't you all love to be feeding that to a bunch of cows or pigs and growing them and creating another product to help you diversify and make your farm operations work? So there's incredible opportunities here. I count me as a champion for you, happy to help be an advocate, happy to help you break down barriers in all of this great effort, because it is a huge opportunity. I think back to when my daughter was younger. My husband and I have 3 kids, a boy and 2 girls. And when my daughter was little, I said, you should really try to find a kid that grew up on a dairy farm because they know how to work. And it's so true, and there aren't that many dairy farms in North Dakota, but that's another great benefit of pursuing this industry and growing it again, is the value, the work ethic that it helps to generate among the people in these small communities of dealing with not only agriculture and all the challenges and opportunities and problem solving that exists in that industry, but in animal agriculture, you have all of that, and then you're caring for every day a live being. And that's just a whole nother level of then caring for plants in the ground. So wonderful industry, happy to be a champion and happy to help you all in your efforts to grow this into great opportunities and diversification for the future farmers and ranchers in our state. So with that, does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? Happy to answer anything on your mind. Sure.
I talked to you on the phone last summer about perpetual federal easements.
Yep.
And just wondering where you're coming on that. I deal with, I bought a ranch, and in the 60s, they sold the wildlife easement, I suppose.
My team, is there anybody in my, hold on one second. Kate, where's Kate? I want you to come and film him. Please get this story captured on film. There you are. Yeah, don't be nervous. Just say it like you were saying it, because it's going to be good. But I want to capture this on film, just to hear your story.
I purchased a ranch about 40 years ago, and it came with perpetual federal easements on this land. Mm-hmm. They bought the easements for $2 an acre about 70 years ago. I think they've got their money's worth. I'm just wondering how you're coming on either reducing the work that I have to go through to try and get rid of some water that's affecting my ranch, and can we get rid of the federal easements? You talked about, when I talked to you on the phone that day, you talked about buying them back or something like that, and I'm just wondering how your legislation is coming on it, and if we're moving forward, and if I could help in any way to give you some good ideas, I'd like to do that.
Absolutely. I'm happy to talk through that. Just a quick question. How many acres of easement did they buy?
The 40 acres that I live on has easements on it. And they bought some more around me that has easements, but I don't own it. But the easements on the land that I do own is affecting me.
How many acres outside of the actual easement does it affect?
280 acres.
So the 40-acre approximately easement is impacting how you operate the 280 acres around it.
Yes, I can't get rid of water. That
Okay.
it backs up into my corrals, and yeah, it's some years it's not an issue,
Yeah.
but on wet years it's a big issue.
And I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you get paid every year from the government for these easements?
No, I don't get anything for these easements.
Did you ever get anything for these easements?
No, nothing.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you sharing that story.
Jason Lee, I'm from Maddock. I'm a bison rancher from Maddock. Maybe you remember talking to me, but probably
Yeah,
not.
excellent. So I've heard this message loud and clear from folks throughout the state, and we have introduced, it's called the Landowner Easement Rights Act, and have some co-sponsors that we're working on this. And the act does two things. It would prevent the U.S. Fish and Wildlife from entering into any more perpetual easements. It would curtail them from being more than 30 years, any future easements. And then the second thing that it would do, it would provide an opportunity for landowners who want to get out of them to buy them out at fair market value. So, seems like complete and utter common sense to me. I can't understand why anybody's opposed to this. But there are lots of people opposed to this because they want your land and the water on it for breeding ducks that they can shoot in their states. So this is what we're up against, some pretty big, pro-hunting groups and some of the big Ducks Unlimited, Pheasants Forever, those folks. And so we are pushing forward with that bill. And at the same time, tomorrow, actually, up in Rugby, we're going to be meeting with a group of landowners to talk through both that proposal as well as some other things that we've learned. Like in the Trump administration, apparently there was a different approach to how the setbacks were calculated that was much more favorable to the landowners and much more certain and easy to work with. So meanwhile, can we look at some other solutions like that just to provide more certainty and more flexibility to everybody who has these easements if we're unable to pass this bill and get rid of them entirely or give you an opportunity to buy them out? And then if not that, what else? What other things can we do to negotiate? Can there be some swap arrangements where you can maybe swap for an easement on a different part of land and allow you to drain the areas that you want? So we're just looking for opportunities to get results on this issue in the next, in this year. So that's the status. My state director, John Oderman, standing right behind you. He is the person to reach out to because I'd love to have a list of everybody who's concerned about this so we can keep in touch and coordinate your thoughts and keep in touch with you in terms of what kind of progress we're making. Maybe we bring a group out to DC to talk in person with the folks like Bruce Westerman, who's the head of the Natural Resources Committee. He understands this a little bit, but there's a lot of misunderstanding too. And he's a conservative, but he's also a hunter. And so the whole landowner rights issue does resonate with people, but they don't really understand what the U.S. Fish and Wildlife is doing, how many constraints they have put on you, and how far beyond the original easements they have gone. So those are some of the things we're working on. But it is one of our top, 8 legislative priorities this year across my entire and every issue. This is one of the highest priorities we have to try to get some meaningful change in this. So thank you. Hope we can be successful. Anybody else? I know somebody wants to hear about E15, so go ahead and ask.
I'm going to steal the mic for a minute because I'm completely starstruck, right, guys? I am nerding out right now. Just absolutely honored to have the Congresswoman here at the event. This is actually the first time we've ever had a member of Congress to speak to the North Dakota Livestock Alliance Summit. So thank you so much to Congresswoman FEDORCHAK and all of her fantastic staff for making this happen. And to hear you say these positive things about animal agriculture, as we've had this discussion throughout the day that, we've been having social acceptance issues in trying to get these new modern livestock facilities up and running. And we all in this room know that, you know, this animal production is essential to restoring balance in agriculture here in North Dakota. So to hear you stand up and say that this is a good thing and that you're a champion for animal ag, I am just absolutely so grateful to you, and I know everybody else in the room is very excited to hear you say these wonderful things. And sadly, we are approaching the time where we'll have to part ways here, but if anybody, if the Congresswoman has a few minutes to take questions after, we can certainly do that out in the hallway. But if it's all right with you, if there's any other last closing comments from you?
I'm just going to quickly address the E15 issue.
E15? Go
Yeah.
ahead, ma'am.
So we thought there was a deal that had been struck. I'm the co-chair of the Biofuels Caucus, and I deferred throughout this process a little bit to the guy who was my fellow co-chair, because he's been dealing with this for 20 years in Congress. And so it's kind of like, should we do this? Should we do that? But also trying to let him lead because he has the most experience and I'm a freshman. And so anyway, there was a deal struck. The small refiners or the medium-sized refiners were left out of the conversation in striking this deal. And so in the end, they activated their network of legislators that represent their districts where they're located, and basically said, we're not going to vote for this, and it got destroyed. So not 100% destroyed, though, because the Trump administration and the head of Mike Johnson and the leadership in the House recognize the impact this has on rural America, recognize that this too is a top priority. This and the easement things, those are two of my biggest things I want to do for ag this year, and are committed to helping to find a resolution because of all the partners. You've got the API, the Petroleum Institute, you've got the biofuels industry, and then you have the refiners, both large and small. 3 of the 4 were in on this agreement, so we just have to get the other issues addressed. We have a very tight deadline. We're hoping to do it by the end of February. We met yesterday already. This just happened on Friday. We've already met all of the members on the House side who are leading this effort. And so we have kind of a pathway to hopefully negotiate an agreement to get the year-round E15 done. The Trump administration has said that they will support it, finalize it, sign it. So if you have any senators, this is a House. I think we can get the House on board with this. The Senate might be a different story. So I urge you to reach out to not just Hoeven and Kramer, because they're going to be on board, but Thune, if you have connections with Thune's office, to really emphasize what a big deal this is for the agriculture industry, our country, especially creating domestic markets for our products. This would be a huge new one, expansion of one, and we need those in this era where the international markets are more uncertain. So thank you all so much. Appreciate what you do and look forward to continue to work with all of you in the coming year.
Thank you very kindly for joining us, Congresswoman. We're happy to have her here. And again, as she mentioned, she can take a few questions if you'd like.